Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, we have an update on the Carnival Magic and whether or not she's able to sail. We have the CDC is now investigating the Cunard cruise ship in San Francisco after over 150 people have now come down with some kind of gastronomical norovirus type symptoms, basically coming out both ends of you if you're unlucky. We also have a Carnival cruise ship that was on its way to one port, decided, you know what, the weather's not great, we're going to go into another port, and then it got stuck in that other port as well. And finally, people have been asking me to comment on the person who wrote a letter to brand ambassador John Heald. Well, put it on their Facebook page, and want to know what my thoughts about some of that stuff is, and so I'm going to give it to you. First off, the Carnival Magic that hit the pier in Ocho Rios and had to leave the port, left passengers ashore, but they looked after them, made sure everyone was comfortable, found places, and then eventually was able to dock at a different pier, got them back on board, but then they had to stay overnight on, to inspect if there's any severe damage that would stop them from being able to sail again. They were deemed safe enough to sail that they have left, and they are on their way, continuing on their voyage today, and it looks like it should not affect the next voyage as well of the Carnival Magic, according to John Heald. So that's good news for people on board that ship. Carnival Paradise is an interesting story because the Carnival Paradise was on its way to Grand Cayman. It's on a 5-night cruise, and they said, you know what, Grand Cayman is just a little too rough of weather in the seas right now, so they decided to pull into Key West and stop in Key West instead, which at least gives you another port to stop in. Not quite the same as going to Grand Cayman, stopping in Florida, but a great stop, a great destination anyway. However, once they got in, the weather got so strong and the wind so severe that they weren't able to leave, which forced them to stay overnight in Key West. Now, they were allowed, to do what they wanted on shore and stuff like that. They also hotel services were open, the dining and the bars were open, the entertainment was going, but there were some things that just can't happen if you're docked in port, and two of those main things were the shopping venues on board, and as well, the casino. The casino had to shut down for the evening because you can't open your casino while you're in port. So a lot of people were kind of, hey, it's only a 5-night cruise and I just lost an entire night of being able to spend my fun time in the casino. But safety first, and they decided to stay in port because it was just too dangerous to pull out. They didn't want to happen to them what happened to the Carnival Magic. Can you imagine another ship in the same day getting more damage but trying to leave with severe winds? Not terrific. Also, speaking of not terrific, last week I reported to you about 130 people at the time had come down with some kind of stomach virus on Cunard Queen Victoria. Well, she left Germany on January 9th, made her way to Florida, down through the Panama Canal, and has now arrived in San Francisco. And as she arrived in San Francisco, CDC has announced that they are doing an investigation into what's happening on the ship, as over 150 people now have called down to medical and said that they've had some kind of virus and sickness on board. Now, CDC wants to be clear, this is not 150 people all at once. It's spread out over that time. So from the 9th of January to the 8th of now, basically a month, we are talking, there might have been 20 people 4 days, and then another 10 people the days after, then 10 of those people got better, etc., 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 as time goes on. In most cases, the sickness will last you about 4 days or 5 days, depending on the severity. Sometimes you actually need to go down and get an intravenous shot to keep your system boosted and going, so you don't just keel over in bed and just stay there all day, like unable to move, and just how much these kind of sicknesses affect you. Like I said, I caught it on my sailing. I just had the runs, and other than that, I was fine, so it didn't affect me too much. But other people on my cruise got so severe, they really had to go see medical and get some attention. So never be afraid to go to medical if you're feeling really, really bad on these ships, because sometimes they can just give you something, and the next day you're much, much better. Okay. Another problem of this type of cruise is it's not a stable cruise. What I mean by that is it's not the normal sailing of Fort Lauderdale, Southern Caribbean, coming back. Fort Lauderdale, Western Caribbean, coming back. Then back to the Southern, then back to the Western. It's not a repeat where people tend to get off immediately after the 7 days. This is a long running cruise, and for instance now it's going to leave from San Francisco and go to Hawaii, and from Hawaii it makes its way down into Australia, New Zealand. So a lot of people have actually booked this cruise all the way from Germany all the way to Australia. So it's not like they have a big rotation of passengers all the time to clear out any sickness that's on board, and it makes it much harder to contain it when it's on the ship. They can implement all the stringent cleaning that they can possibly do, but when there's not a big turnover in the passengers, and you get rid of all the sick passengers all at once, and then in this case you might get rid of some, but some stay on board, and that's how it just keeps getting from passenger to passenger, and seems to take a lot longer for them to get rid of the illness on board these ships. So something to keep in mind if you're booking long cruises. And finally, I've seen a couple John Heald Facebook page, one from a guy who was very upset that John Heald would not upgrade him from a inside cabin to a balcony cabin after he requested it. John can do things like send a cake to your room. He can, order a bottle of wine for you, maybe set up even a specialty dinner if it's something like your anniversary, but they cannot give you cabin upgrades for free, because first of all, most of the sailings are almost sold out. So they have very, very limited choices of where they can put people and how many cabins are available. Not only that, many cruise lines now have bidding systems where, hey, people are bidding on those cabins, and they'll certainly put them in there before they'll give you a free cruise. So that was one I saw, but the one that people are asking me about mostly is the one that my friend Tony on La Lita Loca the other day reported out on, and that was the person who was mad, very, very mad. It just started with an F was the name, and the message read, "John Heald, I always bring my cabin steward a funnel cake and cowboy cookies. I have always been thanked profusely. This time I'm on the Jubilee, I offered them even cake him with Tupperware, even gave him the Tupperware box with him and said he can keep it. He refused, saying he was not allowed. Carnival already overworks the crew, and now this." He looked very embarrassed when he said no. I asked him why, and he told me it was the rule. This is defective management. I made these treats especially. We always leave $30 in $10 bills hidden in the stateroom, and it's up to them to find it. Is Carnival going to stop us doing this as well? First of all, yes, I hope they do. But you have to look at it from the cruise line's point of view, as they go on to say in not so uncertain terms that there are some horrible people out there, and in what looks like a gesture of niceness and kindness to the crew member, they're actually spiking the food, or it goes stale and goes bad, sort of things, whatever's in it, because they take so long, they don't really store it properly when they're heading on their cruise, and they wait the entire length of the cruise to give it to somebody, and it can cause crew members to actually get sick as well. Not to mention, people have done, brownies and stuff like that with pot in them and given them to the crew members, and the crew members aren't aware of this, etc., etc. So many things can go wrong. that it's kind of a policy right across most cruise lines. I completely understand that. You would, you know, how many people nowadays, when you go out for Halloween and everything, check your kids' candy to see if any idiot out there has done stuff? I know when I was bringing my kids out for Halloween, we certainly did that, because idiots out there would put things like razor blades in some stuff. That's how dumb people are, and pins and needles. People can be evil, and that's one of the reasons they don't allow those kind of things. Now, as far as the $30 that they're saying they're leaving in $10 bills hidden in the stateroom, I hope it's, in their mind, it's hidden clearly, if you know what I mean. Sort of like they're thinking in their head that it's like a fun surprise. Oh, look. For instance, you take a pillow and you put it obviously in the middle of the bed, and then you put a $10 bill under the pillow. You take the TV remote control that they have to look for and put in a certain place, put it up on the counter and put a $10 bill under that. And they're going, oh, look, another $10 bill, isn't this fun? That's what they're thinking in their head. They're hoping that's what it is. What it is really is something that kind of makes it like a chore for the crew member. And trust me, if you just left the money in the envelope or on the counter underneath the remote control in plain view for them to see when they go into their stateroom, they are much more happy and much relieved, and really say, oh, this person appreciates us, we really appreciate them. That will go on in their mind. That's the thing that happens there. As opposed to, it's a fun game for the steward. They're not there for fun games. They're there to work. They're trying to earn money. They're trying to make as much money as they can. And to make it to them where they have to look around for things. And if you're doing it, you know, and hiding it in ridiculous places that they might not ever even see, then yeah, maybe, just maybe, your thinking's the wrong way. Don't make it a chore for the crew members. Just tip them. You want to tip them? Tip them. I've never once thought of hiding my tip for the crew member. It just, because congratulations, guess what? You might have actually tipped the person staying in the cabin next time, as opposed to actually tipping the steward themselves. Just saying. And as far as food and treats and everything is concerned, I understand the thoughtfulness behind it, but you have to understand the thought process of the cruise lines. They don't want to take any chances with the health and safety of their own crew members. And you can't really blame them. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Do you think the hiding of the $30 was meant as fun? Or do you think these people are just kind of being jerks and thinking that let's make the crew work for it? And what do you think about handing over freshly baked homemade food to people on a cruise ship? Not packaged, not nothing. Homemade food. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.